Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to another edition of Transformation Greatness along with the Small Business Network podcast. This is your host here, Sean White, founder and creator of Transformation Greatness, also partner and CEO of the Small Business Network podcast, in which that we are continuing the series for the month of October for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And for all of my past, current, and previous guests, it has been an honor and a privilege as far as just be learning from you and sharing some of your stories and the resources and just different things in which that you're providing as far as in your respective communities and areas. So for that, I truly say thank you. But with no further ado, guys, we're going to continue as far as with this series with someone in which has been in this entrepreneur space around the same amount of time that I have. She has been doing amazing and incredible things. You want to talk about the art of bounce back, the art of resilience. She is someone that I tell you guys is truly an inspiration. And just the work in which that she's doing, she has her own Facebook group. She's definitely accessible on all social media handles. And this will be a joy to have on this special guest on the show. But while you're all waiting for the star of the show, do me a favor, if you will. If you're catching this on the live right now, meaning that you're watching this live stream, do me a favor and type in the comments live. Let me know exactly on where you're tuning in from, and don't be a stranger, guys. If you know me, I love dialogue, I love interaction, I love engagement. It's just one of my true passions. And of course, if you're catching this on a replay, put in hashtag replay and let us know exactly where you're tuning in from and if this has gotten any value. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the star of the show, she was ready to go ahead and blast off. So let's not go ahead and waste time here. We appreciate each and every single one of you that's tuning in to this special edition of Transformation along with the Small Business Network podcast. We are doing the Domestic Violence Awareness Month series, and which has been an absolute joy. I know as far as for the month of November, I'm planning on doing a theme very, very differently, but we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here for the month of October. So with no further ado, we have the star of the show, and it looks like that she is sideways. So can you adjust your camera so that way, yeah, there you go. So that way we have it correctly.
Trying to.
There we go. That's
okay. Oh, let's go.
Well, let's see here. Yep. There you go. There you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I was mentioning, with no further ado, we have the star of the show. As I mentioned, she is someone that's been in this entrepreneur space just as long as I have. She's doing amazing work in terms of the professional development space. I believe that she's a Reiki master, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, I can sit here probably for 2 days and just give you a whole bio as far as on her, but I'm not going to steal the spotlight. That's why she's here, right? So with no further ado, we have here the one and only Miss Pambam Phillips in the house. Welcome.
Actually, I'm a Reiki practitioner. I haven't been attuned by a Reiki master. I don't become master until I get a professional. So I just want to make that distinction.
Perfect. I apologize. A Reiki practitioner. Gotcha. So we have here Dr. James, my partner in the house. Welcome, Dr. James. If you can do me a favor, my friend, if you can go ahead and share this out and just let others know that we are officially live, my friend. And let's go ahead and get the party started. So I know you very well. We've been a part of a lot of different communities. We've done business before in the past, but the listening audience that's new, they may not be familiar with you. So if you can just promptly just give a formal introduction of who you are, and then we'll get this rocking and rolling.
I am Pam Phillips. I got the nickname Pambam after joining a network marketing group in 2020 when everything shut down, and doing health and wellness, and it aligned with me because it was all natural products and plant-based, where I joined a 100-day challenge where I ran 10 miles a day. And during that challenge, I got that nickname by my coach and mentor at the time. He called me Pam Bam, and I tried to get rid of it, but it just kind of caught on. So rather than fight it, I'm just going to embrace it. So created my email and all my social media platforms around it.
But also, so correct me if I'm wrong though, but didn't I call you Pam Bam as well?
Yes.
Yeah, and it just stuck with me. Pam, Pam. I like it. Pam, Bam. It got a nice thunder to it,
Yeah.
right?
One of my partners, her name was Selena. She called me. She said, "Pam Bam, she gets things done."
Absolutely.
And okay, now you say it that way, it kind of sounds pretty catchy. So I just kind of embraced it, and I just kind of ran with it with all my social. I changed all my social platforms to represent Pam Bam.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's go ahead and jump into this because you mentioned to me that you had a unique story since that we're talking about domestic violence awareness series. So, would you like to elaborate on that?
Well, let me just start with my story.
Sure.
I would come from a long line of abuse. My father was abusive. He was my first abuser. I pretty much was raised from preschool till the age of 12 in the foster care system, split up from my two brothers. And so to escape it, I thought the best thing for me to do is run away, get married at 16. And everything was really good in the beginning until the babies started coming. And then I had my first one at 18, and then it started getting a little controlling. And then it was either controlling what I said, what I wore, where I went. And then it escalated to eventually, he was hitting me and stuff like that. And I felt trapped. I didn't know where to go because I did not have a support group. My mom was kind of dealing with some stuff, what my dad done to her that I didn't know. And so I was in total denial and thought, well, I could fix this. And I justified it. Well, I'm going to stay in this relationship because I have kids.
Right.
Don't do that because you are not protecting them. You're actually causing them psychological harm. And it took me a long time. It took me 10 years to finally build up the courage. Because for me, it was normal. I had an abusive childhood. I had no other role models to prove me different. And so to me, it was normal. It was an Oprah Winfrey episode that she was interviewing a lady such as myself with a similar background story and was talking about and I'm like, this isn't normal. People don't do this. Your spouse don't put their hands on you. They don't control and manipulate. And then I started going to the library and doing some self-help books and just but I was still terrified. It took me 10 years to get out of that.
Wow.
Then I eventually migrated into meditations and kind of getting a little bit more deeper into the healing because I had to address the root cause of when it first started. And in 2020, that's when it started.
Interesting. You mentioned something as you were sharing your story, and thank you for that, by the way. For all those that's just tuning in, welcome here once again to Transformation Greatness, along with the Small Business Network podcast. I am interviewing here Ms. Pam Bam Phillips, and we're talking about domestic violence awareness. But you touched on something very interesting. I've been finding a theme here recently when I've been interviewing a lot of guests in terms of domestic violence awareness, especially that there is a common thread to that it normally starts really from childhood, right? And as far as with your experience, and it's kind of interesting because I guess as we get older, it's one of those things in which that we start attracting that type of situations and circumstances. But obviously, when you're young like that, you don't know what's going on, why this is happening. You just feel like it's a black cloud. Very intriguing. I guess I'm curious. So you mentioned that you started meditation. What was it about meditation that you said, you know what? I believe that this can work. This can help me.
Well, with my daughter had, my stepdaughter, but I call her my bonus daughter. She was still my daughter.
That's right.
Got diagnosed with cancer at 7. And
Oh, wow.
we went to hospitals and the protocols and stuff like that. And it was till when we thought she was cured. Then at 17, she got re-diagnosed with a second cancer. We couldn't use the same stuff, so we went into more, we hired a chef, we had her come in and teach us how to do a plant-based diet. So, hence that's why I was in the plant-based network marketing group. It kind of, and
Makes sense.
started doing energy healing on her, acupuncture, and kind of got into the, some meditation. And I was like, so that kind of piqued my interest there, but I still didn't click. I still had that little self-doubt. I don't know what it was, something that just limited belief that stopped me from even trying it. Watched it work on her. I watched it work on her for, till she was eventually paralyzed because it spread to her lungs. So I started after she had passed, and then in 2020, I thought, I'm going to try it. And for me, when I first tried it, it was difficult. It was so hard. I was like, quiet your mind, I can do this. And I looked at the clock, and it was like barely a second. But I eventually got to where I can do 20 minutes at a time, and I could just sit and really just focus in on just my breathing. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And it just kind of, but then I wanted deeper. Then I found a spiritual coach that kind of helped me doing 2020. So she put me on a deeper path where I could do business and do the spirituality without it being too hocus pocus. So she had a way of teaching that. But I also aligned with another domestic survivor named Angelina Costatina.
I know her too.
She is my sister. She is my rock. She started it. So I found her first, and then I found Anya Halimia. And right now she's in Peru. She's doing a really deep meditation right now, so she can't be bothered for the next 2 months. So I'm so proud of her to go down that journey. But those are the two ladies that really put me on the path of the spiritual awakening and the awareness of, I can go a little bit deeper. For not everyone wants to go that deep, but for me that's what worked. And so I built my whole coaching business around that, and I'm primarily on TikTok with that. I'm kind of going to share my journey.
Let's have a conversation. Let's go a little bit deeper into that as far as with meditation and breath work, because as someone that's a coach and also a hypnosis practitioner, I've had the opportunity, especially being in class when I was in school with HMI Institute. Shout out to HMI Institute, by the way. I had an opportunity really to expand my horizons, right? I was always an individual that I'm a deep thinker, and I look at things from different perspectives. Some people consider me weird, whatever. But what I'm trying to get at is that when I was in class, I met a lot of classmates, a lot of colleagues that was into Reiki, like mindfulness, right, meditation, cognitive behavior, et cetera. And I really started seeing the power, right, of breath work and meditation. And I realized that it wasn't some hocus pocus, right? It wasn't some hokey pokey. It's actually backed by science as well. I know Dr. James will love that because he knows about that as well. We have conversations about that. But I guess, what would you say to someone, right, that may have a history of domestic violence, or even know someone that's been a part of that, and yet they want to introduce meditation or breath work, and they're saying, you know what, nah, I ain't with all that. That's kind of hocus pocus. That's kind of cloud in the sky, right, type of thing. I'm a realistic person, right? Or better yet, I'm a spiritual person, right, or a religious person. That goes against what I believe. What is your take on that?
Well, I kind of have thoughts like that too, but for someone that doesn't know anything about meditation, they got to make sure they're in a safe space. So if they're still in that relationship, they need to get out. They need to find a support group, and I can point them in the right direction, because they should not sit in that position, especially if they got children. Not do it if you're not going to do it for you. Do it for your children. Get them out of that situation, because you're doing them harm by letting them see that kind of relationship. Because they're going to start thinking that's protocol of how a relationship works.
Right.
and then they, um, that mine was a gradual. I didn't like jump right into the spiritual stuff because like, you're right. It kind of like wait, does my church think? Okay, it was kind of hard. It was that struggle, but it's a mindset shift, and then it's a lifestyle shift as well.
Mm.
It's not, oh, I'm going to meditate today, and then one and done, and life is good. It's a continuous thing, and every time you do it, it just builds upon itself, and so you get a little bit more, and more messages, more enlightenment, or more power. First, you have to tell yourself that, yes, I acknowledge the pain. You cannot heal the pain if you don't feel it. If you don't feel it and address the emotion and the root cause of it, it's just going to keep on manifesting in different scenarios through different people, different relationships, whether it's business or personal relationships. And that's what I was starting to experience for a while. And I was like, but I was bringing it to myself because that was the energy I was bringing. And once I realized it's not a religious thing, it's really just keeps me more grounded to my true identity of who I am. So I don't feel like, but I still struggle with this. I know I'm worthy, but I still struggle with limited beliefs and things like that. But that's why I stay meditating, because I bring myself back into it whenever I feel myself going in that negative field. I would recommend, if someone that doesn't know anything about it, is to start with just your basic meditation. Because if you're not familiar with it, it's gonna, because like I told you, when I started meditating, just trying to be quiet for even a 5-minute span it felt more like 5 hours. It was hard. It's definitely something, decision. I'm going to do this for me. I'm going to heal. I am no longer going to attract these type of relationships. I'm going to put me first. That's why I'm by myself and single. I just don't want to attract another relationship if they can't value me.
Wow, that was powerful.
And to make them feel better about themselves, they either take me as I am, or I will just be fine being by myself, because I believe my special person is out there, but only when I become that same person. What I seek, I have to become. Otherwise, I will never find that true person to be with.
Interesting. You know what? You said a lot of great stuff there, and I would have to agree. And that's something that I even learned as being an entrepreneur, because I said this before, and I'll say it again, and that when you become an entrepreneur, it really, what it does, it shows you on who you truly are, like your mental resolve, right? If you're very resourceful, if you are persistent, if you are relentless, right? It also shows too on your willingness to serve. Are you all about yourself, or you're about finding ways to serve others, right? So it's very amazing on how the way the law of vibration and the law of attraction goes hand in hand, along with obviously, everything else, learn the correct skills and different things of that nature. So that's very powerful. So with that being said, let's go ahead and kind of shift a little bit, because I know as far as you're definitely deep in the health and wellness and personal development space. So tell us more about, because I know that you have a Facebook group called Inner um, Transformation, and maybe as far as you can touch more bases with that, right? As far as what you're currently doing, and I think you mentioned that you're going to provide us with a guided meditation. Am I right? Am I right? Am I
Do
right?
guided,
I love guided meditations. Is that right?
I can do guided meditations in that group. Yes, yes, yes.
Can you do
I
can you do one for us live here? I love. Okay, go ahead, continue. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just love guided meditation, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
that is fine. I primarily do my guided meditations in my groups because not everyone understands it. It seems kind of foreign and weird to others, unless you're actively searching that out. It just looks weird and people raise an eyebrow. So I'm very particular about who I share my energy with. So I want to make sure I'm with the right people, and it's a safe space for all people when they come in,
Makes sense.
because of all different backgrounds and all kinds of different levels of abuse and or experience. So, but I primarily will do my meditate. I will do some guided meditations. Yeah, thank you for the fish. I will do that on Facebook, but I'm also on TikTok too, where I do a lot of my metaphysical, spiritual, a little more deeper type messages that I put out.
You know what, too? Yeah, I know. I was trying to, give us like a treat, right? But no, but on a serious note, I do understand the power of that, especially too when it comes to really sharing your energy, because that's something that is very sacred. I can tell you, especially when connecting with clients and different things of that nature, and especially doing like either a guided meditation or even doing like a session, right? Because like I said, I'm a hypnosis practitioner. There is a certain energy that's required, and if the person is not really willing and not on the same page, meaning that's open, that would like to do the session and really be open, then it becomes very, very difficult. So I do understand that, number one. And secondly, how the way this world is, it's a very crazy world. So you gotta be selective in a sense, because there's so many different types of energies, negative energies at that. And so I know for those that are, what is that word? They're very sensitive. I can't think of the name. Oh, shoot. What are they called? They are I forgot it already. I just said it and I totally forgot it. But anyway, those that's very sensitive as far as empaths. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Empaths. So
I'm an empath,
right.
and so I in another group. It's not my group; it's another group I'm in, and I was like, why am I just? I feel like a human lie detector. I can detect if it's good energy or bad energy or something bad about the aura of that person. And then when I started doing the training on Reiki, I realized you have to be careful, because if I have bad energy and then I try to heal someone, then I transfer my bad energy to their.
Correct.
I cannot just let everyone in my circle. I have to let the ones that are give me permission, because I can't perform Reiki on anyone. I have to be invited or allowed to, and essentially I'm not doing it. It's that person has given themselves permission, and then I just do specific maneuvers wherever that their energy is at needing healing.
Question for you, and it just came to mind too. So for a person, right, because of the fact you're an empath and you hit it right on the button, you're 1,000%. The person has to give you permission, right, in order to do so. That's 1,000% correct. But for a person, say for instance, that's definitely had a history of domestic violence, right, and obviously you can feel it, you can sense it. There's a spirit of like of loneliness, of depression, of confusion, anxiety, and yet they invite you and they say, yes, you know what, I really want to do this because I need healing. And they're crying out for help in a sense, spiritually. I'm talking about spiritually. Like, how was that experience? I guess, I don't know if you're allowed to share it or not, but how has that experience been like? Where have you had a person which you done a session with, right? And you just felt that energy and you felt it and you're like,
Yeah,
ooh.
they feel despair. You can just definitely feel it. And I've been working more on distant healing, and I have to really prepare my space, and then really tune into just them and get a sense of their energy. But I have to have the permission, and they have to let me in so that I can. And it's not like I just go straight to a certain chakra healing, and so I just don't pick. I allow my energy to find the energy in them that needs the healing, because when we block our chakras, we're not living our authentic full life. And so we're just so like if we're not speaking the truth, then we might have sore throats, and we're not our expression. This is how we express ourselves, whether we're singing, whether we're speaking, we have to be authentic. And when we're not, we may have loss of voice, we may have sore throats and stuff like that. And our third eye, that's our inner knowing. And if that's blocked, you know, a lot of the foods we eat actually will block a lot of that.
Hmm.
I study a lot of Joe Dispenza science back, and I wanted to start study guys, gentlemen or women that are doing meditation at the level that I'm doing it, from a scientific level, so that it didn't seem too far-fetched for the person that is seeking some type of healing. Because some people like a man's voice, some like a female's voice, and not everybody's going to be gravitating towards me. They might want someone like Joe Dispenza, you know, and that's perfectly fine because he goes way deeper than I do.
Yes, he do. Woo. I follow Joe
Eventually,
Dispenza, man. He's very deep, and oh, and also too, by the way, I think I can say this on the air without getting flagged for it. He's actually a graduate from HMI Institute. Yeah.
is he?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. So he's part of he's part of the HMI alumni. But yeah, he's very deep, and he bases it with science. And I I I tell you, I think that for guided meditations too, Pam Bam, and I'm pretty sure that you can attest to this. For those that may be religious or whatever the case, is it fair to say that it's a form of prayer as well?
Yeah, I would say that.
Hmm.
I've never heard it yet. Because when we are speaking, we are basically casting some sort of a spell to you manifest. Because if we're saying I can't do that, then you're not going to be able to do whatever that follows the can. If you say I can heal, I can do this, then you eventually, it's not going to be an easy battle depending on how deep rooted
Correct.
trauma is. For me, mine started at 5, and it took me a long time. What I had to do is find the emotion of that and then release the emotion, and then the emotion no longer had control.
Mm.
That's what people need to get to, is addressing that root cause of where it first started and why it still hurts, and then sit with it for a little bit and then give it back to the universe and say it is done. And then you go to the next. So it's like an onion. You got to go layer by layer. You can't do all of it and just do like this little jump on the universe, because that's not how it works, and that doesn't give you time to integrate it into your, because you're going to have to become a different person as you feel each part of
But
you.
doesn't it take a lot of courage as well? Because I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, right? So doesn't it take a lot of courage? Because that basically means that I have to lower my pride and my ego, and because I'm wounded and hurting, I want to hold on to that even though it hurts. So you're saying that eventually I'm going to have to let it go in order to heal? I mean, that sounds easier said than done, though, Pam. Like, I don't know.
You're correct. You're correct. For me, it was a big ego. I had to deflate my ego because I thought, oh, people are going to judge me. People are going to like think I'm just weird
Mhm.
because I'm a meditation guru. But you got to let that go, because you're dealing with real raw pain, and if you don't express it, if you don't feel it, you can't heal it. And that, like, one of the things in my network marketing group in the health and wellness, we not only did, talked about health and wellness, but we talked about mindset.
Okay.
And so it's been a progression to get where I'm at now. That kind of got me on the bunny trail of, oh, let it go. I gotta let it go. And it was hard. It's so hard, but you're carrying around this imagination of pain and guilt and shame, and it's not your fault that this person is hurting you. And men get hurt just as much as women. And it's sad because a lot of men will not admit that they're getting abused,
Hmm.
because they're told to be manly and stuff like that. But they need healing too. It's not just a woman-based, not just women getting domestic violence. It's just you're hearing more of it from the women and not hearing from the men as much. So I welcome all people to my group for seeking guidance. I mean, even if you don't stay in the group and you don't comment, if you get even one little inkling of something that changes your life for the better, I've done my job.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. You were saying you was finishing your statement.
Oh, that's just all I want to do is just help one person at a time.
And you know what? That's been my theme since I started. Well, actually, since that transformation greatness has been downloaded to me, right? And that's what it's really been all about. If I can just help one person, if we can help just one person as servant leaders, as light workers, coaches, whatever you want to call yourself, then that's what it's really all about. And that's something in which that I constantly hop on to everyone, right? If you help out one person, what happens? It creates a snowball effect, right? One person, then they pass that knowledge down to another person, then to another person, then to another person, then to another person. And then before you know it, if you keep that level of consistency for about 1 year, and for 1 year, then amazing things can happen. But it all starts with that one person. And that only not only applies in business, ladies and gentlemen, but also in life. And that's another thing in which just came to mind. That's why I love, as far as with the small business network, we have something which is called Demons and Angels of Some, which basically is a segment in which that we provide like a news article, right? And we have interviews with individuals that, say, for instance, if you came across individuals that was like a blessing to you in your life, or use a blessing to someone else, or as far as something that was bad in your life, or something that you did wrong to others. And I just believe, as far as even with domestic violence, even though it's not sexy, even though obviously, it can be very painful, brings up a lot of wounds and different things of that nature. I totally get that. But at the same token, we get to a point in life as adults where we have to be able to say, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. Because if not only is it going to stifle us, but of course, if you have children, even grandchildren, what is the example in which that you're leaving for them? So doing the work in which that you're doing is absolutely amazing. And I commend you, because you came a long ways. Me and you've been rocking for quite some time. We've been following each other. Like I said, we've been a part of different organizations. Me and basically the same people. And it's just amazing just to see the transformation. And now you are styling and profiling just like me, because you got glasses as well. So I mean, that's pretty awesome there. And so most certainly, enough success to you, and kudos to you. I want to ask you this, right? Because I see that no one really has any questions in the audience, which I'm very surprised, by the way, too. But it's all good. A question for you. So, for a person that's in that situation or knows someone, they're like, man, you know what? I like how this conversation is going. I like what Pam Bam is speaking about, but I just don't have no iota. I don't have a clue on how to get started, how to connect with her. I don't have any resources. What can a person do as of right now to really
That's why
start moving the needle?
that's why I do a one-on-one discovery call.
Okay.
We speak, and that's completely free. I don't charge for that, because I need to discover what it is that they really need. Because I can throw the book at them, but if they're not needing that, I don't want to do that. I don't want to overwhelm them. And it takes a lot of courage just to even do that for some people. I know it did for me to finally reach out and just stop living in this, I just kept in this, I don't know, I can't call it fairy tale, but this illusion of what I thought, I can deal with this, I can handle it, I'm tough. But you don't need to power through it. You need to just admit, yeah, there's a problem. Let's do a one-on-one. Let's see if this is for me. If it's not, then hopefully you gain something just out of that. If it is, then I can find the direction and set up a plan, and I'll make it affordable because I know times are tough right now financially for a lot of folks. So I will change my prices just to help and get them in, because they shouldn't just be left out. They're struggling.
Mm.
So if they can have the courage to I have a calendar, I can send them an invite, and where they can set up a one-on-one with me, 15, 20 minutes, we could just try to figure out if this is a right program for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? You raised a good point here. And I'm still surprised nobody's asking any questions, but anywho. But You said something that was powerful because what I got from what you just said is that it's not necessarily about the money, but it's more so about service. And that's something that me and Dr. James, we speak about a lot because, yeah, we have, products and services, just like any other entrepreneur, right? Obviously, we got products and services, we got different things that we offer to the marketplace, et cetera, et cetera. Whoop-de, whoop-de, whoop. But what really separates you from someone else is your level of service on how you can help someone, right? And even if that may be that you may have to tailor your rates in order to really bring that satisfaction level of customer service, which need to be, then that's essential. So what I'm basically saying this in layman's terms, guys, is that if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a coach, right, in any kind of capacity, really doing discovery calls, in my opinion, is like it's paramount, right? And even doing a complimentary one, even if, just like you mentioned, even if they decide not to move forward, but at least what it does is spark something.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I think, to be honest with you, I think the best value I got, and this may sound kind of weird, was from the ones that was complimentary, that was free. The ones that I paid, don't get me wrong, the ones that I paid money and I paid handsomely, by the way, right? I got value out of it too, right? Sure,
Mhm.
I better for the price that I paid, but but really, a lot of the value that I really did get was really from a free call, and it really blew my mind away too. And I was like, wow. So with that as being coaches and whatnot, complimentary calls are very valuable. Plus, it helps us as well as coaches be more well-rounded because we're speaking with different personalities and people from different backgrounds and different things of that nature. So cool, cool, cool. Uh, Ms. Pam Bam, I know you're a very busy woman, and I thank you so much for being a guest here as far as on the show. It really means a lot to me. Is there anything else that you would like to add for the listening audience?
Um, if you are interested at all, you can find me on TikTok at Pambam1111, or if you want to just do see what it is, because I don't go as deep on Facebook. Try to hunt me down, Inner Transformations. Just answer a few questions, and I'll let you in, and then you can see if this what this is all about. And that's all free. I don't charge for that. I do charge after the discovery call once we set up a plan, but yeah, come join for free and see if this is for you. And if you get something out of it, then that's all I care, that I want, that I've helped at least one person, even if they don't sign up for my service, because I try to put some stuff out there that's relevant. And a lot of times it's something I am going through or have gone through. And if I share my experience and you gain something out of it, that is my wish. So yeah, Inner Transformations on Facebook and Pambam1111 on TikTok.
Excellent, excellent. So with that being said, guys, this has been a joy and a treat. If you're watching this in attendance, we still have time in the month of October for the Domestic Violence Awareness Month series. So if you're in attendance and if this inspired you and you would love to be a guest as far as on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to me or to Dr. James. That is my business partner. He's basically my right-hand man. And let us know as far as your level of interest to be a guest here on the podcast. It doesn't cost you nothing whatsoever. If you are listening and you're like, you know what, I have a great message, I have great content, and you would love to be on TV, radio, and also have a channel built on your behalf, then by all means, let's definitely have a discussion with that. Now, obviously, there is an investment that is required with that, but we'll be willing to work with you to see exactly on where you're at and what you're looking to accomplish. And we also got some many other great goodies installed as well, just overall. So if any of that intrigues you, let's definitely have a conversation. On behalf of Transformation Greatness and along with the Small Business Network podcast, it's been an absolute joy. Thank you so much to my very special guest here, Miss Pam Bam Phillips. I like how way that name that sounds. One more time, Miss Pam Bam Phillips. I'm telling you guys, that was amazing. She is doing great things. Make sure that you look out for her Definitely follow her as far as on all the social media handles. Make sure too, Ms. Pam Bam, that you put all that pertinent information in the comment section. Once that we're done, I will send you a copy of this podcast so you can go ahead and use it at your discretion. And with that being said, we're going to wrap this up like we basically do all of our others. And if what we stated on here either motivated, transformed, or inspired at least one person, then may God be the glory, and we take no credit for absolutely none of it. Until then, you're all amazing. Thank you so much on this Saturday afternoon. By His grace and mercy, look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pam Bam.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Very well.
Absolutely.